study,
and play come together on a Windows 11 PC.
And for a limited time, college students get
the best of both worlds.
Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
Star Wars is back on the big screen with The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Gangsters, war criminals. I'll take out every bad guy in your deck of cards.
On May 22nd, feel the Force on the biggest screen possible.
The old protect the young, and the young protect the old. This is the way.
Buckle up.
Always wear your seatbelt.
The Mandalorian and Grogu. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters May 22nd. Get tickets now.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello there, Stanley Carr here. You know, I love collecting music and sports memorabilia. Want to know where you can find some? I'll tell you. Go to oldglory.com. This website features one-of-a-kind apparel from your favorite sports teams and musical artists. And I can help you get 15% off of all items. Use the code WWH135. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positive vibes here on the show, and with me right now, I have got a very special guest. She is a rising independent star on the New England wrestling circuit. I am pleased to welcome Kayla Lopez. Welcome, Kayla, to Wrestling with Heart.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. So, doing a little bit of research about you and your career, you kind of fell into wrestling a little bit later on in life. Talk to me about your first kind of exposure into professional wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I always feel like I found wrestling like on accident somehow. So my first like real exposure to wrestling was I am a huge fan of Dancing with the Stars, and Nikki Bella was actually a one of the contestants on season 25, which was back in like 2017. So every season I would always like Google like, oh, what does each contestant do? So I Googled Nikki Bella, and of course wrestling comes up, and I'm looking and I'm like, oh, like I had no idea really that it like wrestling existed. And I know that kind of sounds crazy now. But yeah, I ended up just kind of while that season's going on, I'm kind of doing a deep dive of like, oh, okay, so this is what she does. Now let's open the horizon. Let's see what like the whole Divas division's about. And then, you know, going back a decade and going on like that. So kind of really just, I guess, found it by accident, but I'm happy that it did because, you know, now I'm here.
It's so fascinating, too, when you have a bunch of fans that either fall into wrestling or grew up with it as kids, as fans, and then eventually some of them get into the business themselves. But the diversity of people that get into it just fall into wrestling. And it's a testament to the people that kind of crossed over, like you mentioned, Nikki Bella, also The Rock and John Cena are able to have these successful careers outside of wrestling, and they bring in new audiences. So I find that very cool that you were kind of very curious and interested in getting into it and falling in love with it. So was Nikki Bella your favorite growing up? Was she your favorite?
I would say definitely like right off the bat, because I think I had discovered it when I was in college. So I think like my sophomore year of college. So any, you know, anything before that, I had no idea wrestling existed. And of course, like I fell in love with watching her stuff because I did a big deep dive on like her career and all the things. So yeah, she was definitely my favorite growing up, and I actually have one of her quotes tattooed on my side. So a lot of people comment on that and they're like, that looks familiar. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I mean, I got the tattoo like around like a year later after I discovered her, but like, yeah, I think she just has a positive message to send. I know she gets, and it's crazy because she gets so much hate, but like, she's a Hall of Famer. Like, there's a reason to that, you know?
And especially with the whole Total Divas era, that show I feel like garnered so much attention. It really brought a lot of new female fans and garnered an audience that we may have never seen before in terms of female viewers, and in turn have become fans of the product. And I think women's wrestling as a whole definitely it benefited from that too, because now there's a huge market for women's wrestling. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of young girls come to like some independent shows now and it's like, oh, I want to be like Kayla Lopez, I want to be like Livia, I want to be like Brittany Brooks, or really anyone that's wrestling. They see these people up there and they see these women up there and they're like, oh, I didn't realize women could do it. And not only these women can do it, they can do it just as good as the men, if not better sometimes. So like it's really like thanks to Nikki Bella and all these women that came before her and, really started that lineage, we're the ones reaping the benefits because of what they've done for us, and they've paved the way for us. So really impossible without all the women who came before us and set that tone.
Definitely set the tone. And when you get into the business yourself, you're now stepping into it and it's like, oh my gosh, I see what they're doing on TV. Now I'm here. I got to prepare myself. I join a wrestling school. I sign up to train. Walk me through that process because it is very intense.
Yeah, I think, it's all about picking the right school and, once you get going and start training, realize the ring is not a trampoline. So everyone thinks it is, but it's not. And you really have to dedicate yourself to putting the time in. It's not going to be like quick overnight. Like John Cena wasn't a champion overnight. Nikki Bella didn't become the first, like, or not the first, the longest reigning Divas champion overnight. Like, all these people that you see that are headlining Mania and are doing these huge things, it started a long, long time ago. So, it's all that training, all that promo work, it's all the car rides to and from the independent shows, and all the time that you really have to put in and invest in this. So, definitely people can sometimes underestimate that. I know I did right off the bat. I didn't really know what I was getting into. Me getting into wrestling truly was kind of like a spur of the moment. Because a school started following me on Instagram. I saw they did a free class and I signed up to go the next day, and it was just like that. It was very random, not very well thought out, but very random. And, I'm glad that that's my path and that's what happened, because now I'm here enjoying it.
Walk me through and kind of elaborate a little bit on your first experiences in wrestling school, because it like you kind of mentioned earlier, it is not ballet. It is something that you really have to perfect, and it takes time, years to really get it in motion. You really have to dedicate time and put so much effort into it and sacrifice a lot. What was it like learning from your trainers, and talk to me about any pieces of advice that your trainers gave you starting out that you've applied to now?
Yeah, so I mean, when I first signed up, it was a lot of, you have to start by learning the very basics. I think one piece of advice that I had learned very early on is like, you have to learn the foundation. You can't just, if you're building a house, you're not going to pick out what furniture you want in it, or, pick out what color walls you want to paint without even having the foundation filled. That'd be kind of crazy. So I think that that's like one of the biggest pieces of advice I got early on, and really just making sure that you're running a business for yourself that is like, you want to carry yourself well. You don't want to have, trying to think of the best way to explain it. You don't want to carry yourself professionally in a way that's going to turn people away from you, because you want people to want to have you. Like, you want to be the person that is on the card that people are like, oh, she sells tickets, or she's very professional, or he, or whatever. So starting off in training, you have to learn all those basics, and then you have to learn business basics. And now, social media plays a part of like, okay, how do I market myself? Then there's the aspect of like, okay, you will have to learn how to cut a promo. Here are some ways to do it at home. So like, lots of hours of like standing in a mirror cutting a promo. Like there's so many different things that you have to do. And then on top of that, have a balanced diet, work out, do all the things, and really get your body into a shape where your body's going to be okay with bumping however many times a day or whatever comes from it.
Yeah, it seems like a lot that you have to learn like really fast all at one time. And especially you brought up social media and the internet. That's made it even more of a challenge because you have to learn like how to post content and how many times a day do you have to do that. So it's a lot.
It's a lot, and I think too, like it's such a big part right now. So like right now, that's kind of what I'm leaning into a little bit more, is trying to be like, okay, how do I make myself stand out? What's creative? What are some of like the trending audios right now that I can use that apply to wrestling? Or, what do people want to see? Maybe one post does great, you try to, do a similar post and it doesn't do as great. Like it's all trying to figure it out on top of your wrestling training, on top of keeping your diet and exercise well, and then life.
Exactly. Prior to getting into wrestling, did you grow up playing any sports?
Yeah, so I was a dancer actually for almost like 20 years. So I did like all like tap, jazz, ballet, hip hop, like competition dance. I was very much a competition kid growing up. So I do think that really carried into wrestling a lot, because some of the same things apply. Like your timing has to be right. You have to know where to place your feet, how to carry your body. Then the performance aspect of like, okay, you have to use your face because like your face tells a story. Those are just like some of the little things, but dancing and wrestling go hand in hand. So that's why a lot of wrestlers do well on shows like Dancing with the Stars and whatnot, because it's so.
Yeah, it definitely seems like there's a lot of crossover and
Yes.
a lot of movement, and it is a sport too, because you're constantly, as you said, you're working with your body, constantly trying to figure out where to go and where to pivot to, and you're working with your opponent a lot, your partner, to be able to figure out how does this match work?
Yes.
How do I get this person on here? How do I get this maneuver? So it's a lot of back and forth.
100%. Yeah.
So you put the basics together. Walk me through your first few matches. Were you nervous, shy, afraid? How were you able to overcome some of those feelings?
All the things. So definitely it was like, I remember my very first match. I think I was so focused on what like the contents of the match were that I wasn't like able to focus on the performance.
Membership means more with American Express Business Gold. Earn 4 times membership rewards points in your top 2 eligible spending categories every month, including eligible U.S. advertising purchases and select media, and U.S. purchases at restaurants, including takeout and delivery. What are you waiting for? Get the card that flexes with your spending every month. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
As much, which like is reasonable, but I look back at it and I'm like, oh, like cringing, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I did that. But yeah, I mean, you definitely get super nervous, even to this day. I've had a lot of matches at this point, but still get super nervous. You kind of just have to, there's kind of like a weird switch that just has to happen, and eventually once you go through the curtain, it's just like, oh, okay, I'm this person now. Like it's do or die at that time. So I think the adrenaline kind of kicks in, and it's just like, oh, okay, no, I know what I'm doing. I can sell a character. Like really just hitting that switch and be like, oh, okay, now I'm good.
Yeah, like over time when you're doing it enough and practice it, you develop a sense of confidence. And once you have those first few matches under your belt, you're like, yeah, I can get through this easily.
Yeah, and I think it's, you can get through it, and you can also learn a lot from it too, because my first few matches, again, were not great by any means, but like definitely learned a lot from it. And to this day, continuing to learn. Like I watch my matches back a million times, and I nitpick, which is not the best thing, but I want to learn something, and like there's something you can do better in everything. So definitely every match from beginning to now, a lot of learning lessons. So I think that's kind of one of the best ways to learn as well.
What would you say are like your biggest motivators? Like when you're just tired or you're burnt out or whatever the case is, what are things like to go to kind of like counteract all those emotions?
Yeah, I think a lot of it kind of comes down to me and like how I think I would feel like afterwards. So like on like days that, I don't want to, or I feel like I don't want to do anything, it's more of like, okay, but if you did do this, how do you think you would feel after the fact? And every time I'm like, all right, I would feel great. Like, so that's kind of like what, really drives me. And of course, like having a great support system is everything. So like that too.
Yeah, when you have those people that are like you consider your circle, your people that you can count on and rely on, it really can go a long way in the long run.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about the independent scene where you are, because it is rising. It seems like there's a lot of talent coming through there. What is it like being able to compete in such a huge market?
Yeah, so I mean, the New England scene is crazy good. Like there's, so many different promotions now and just so much talent, like you said, coming out of there, And you have promotions like Beyond Wrestling, Limitless, and all these big ones that like draw so many people, and especially like look at their YouTube channel, look at, their streaming, all the things. So it's crazy because we get the opportunity to work with so many different people, and sometimes they do intergender matches, so we're not just working with the women, we're also working with the men, like, so, and so many schools as well. There's a lot of schools up here, so there's just so much opportunity to learn. No matter where you go, you're going to learn something, and no matter what promotion is, there's a lot of really great promotions. Rebel Spirit's another good one. But yeah, there's a ton of promotions that are really killing it, and we're lucky to get the opportunity to train and work up here. There's obviously great promotions across the country too, but New England is really a good hub for all things independent wrestling.
So far in your career, who would you say have been some of your favorite opponents that you've gotten to be in the ring with?
Yeah, some of my favorites would probably be like Davey Ann. I was lucky to be able to wrestle her a good amount of times last year. I've worked with Delmi XO recently. She's really, really great. Luscious Latasha, she was my first match, and we see each other fairly often. She was at my wedding celebration. Like, she's really, really great and has taught me so much. Vile, she's someone that I used to train with, but she has incredible character work. And not gonna lie, it's hard sometimes with her because her character's so good. It makes me like want to smile and laugh and all the things. I'm like, wait, I can't do that. But she's really great too. Livia. Yeah, I've been lucky to work with like a lot of great opponents.
What would you say are your future goals? Do you hope to get signed by a big company? Do you want to stay in the indies? Where do you see yourself in the next few years?
Yeah, in the next few years, I mean, of course, I would love to be signed by a big company, but I also wouldn't be upset still like working the indies and maybe going past, New England, kind of starting to go into more of New Jersey, which I've been fortunate enough to do this year. I've gone to Jersey twice, or like to go to Pennsylvania and really kind of start making my way out west, or even down in Florida. Florida's another big one. But yeah, definitely kind of, I'm seeing what the universe has in store for me. I would love to get signed, but I also would love to work the indies.
There's a mass amount of talent right now that are just killing it right now in all different directions. Who would you say are your dream opponents?
Ooh, these are good ones. Okay. I would say Brittany Brooks is a dream opponent. Tiffany Nieves,
Mm-hmm.
she's another good one. And I was just asked this like 2 nights ago, and I had really good answers, and I'm blanking. Emily J. This is reaching for the stars like a little bit too much, but like Soraya. I mean, I'm open to any challenge, but those are just some like the few that I can think of right off the top of my head.
I want to switch gears now, talk about some of the stuff you've been able to do outside of wrestling. I know you're very passionate about giving back and have had opportunities to give back over the years. What are some causes that you're very passionate about and things that you've been able to do in your community?
Yeah, so a few things that I can think of right off the top of my head was back when I was a teenager, and we haven't been able to have one of these in a while because of COVID and things, but now it's starting to come back. It's a church retreat where these people would come in and basically have like a weekend transformation. And, not to get too religious or anything, but, it was just one of those things where I got to volunteer for several weekends. Me and my sister would both do it. And it was just such like a nice, like, it's not even as much about the religion. It's just more healing and like getting in touch with yourself. And when we would help at these weekends, because we did it first. But, now that we get to help out, we get to prep lunches and dinners, we get to have talks and share, our stories and things like that. So, it's something that always like touches my heart whenever we're able to do that, because, we always get like messages after the weekend's over of like, oh, your story really affected me. I connect with you because of this. Or, hey, are you available to talk? I just need someone to listen to me, and really just becoming those people for, people who just need help and they're struggling mentally. So I think that's like one thing that I really enjoy doing, and I'm so glad is coming back this year. Another thing that I did back in 2018, and I want to pick it back up again, is I actually ran a dance show because I was still dancing at the time. I ran a dance show, and all ticket proceeds went towards American Cancer Society. So it was a really great event, a lot of good positive lead up going into it. And, all the performances, all the dance schools, everyone that came out, big group picture, like there was just it was such like a positive night. So definitely looking to do something like that again. And I've even toyed with the idea of trying to do it with the wrestling show. And I was also able to get I was working at a medical spa, and we were doing these like pick a month, and all proceeds from retail, or a portion of proceeds from retail, was going towards a cause. So my assigned month was September, and a cause that's very near and dear to my heart, PBCers. I was able to donate a portion of our, retail sales to PBCers, was really made my day. So they're a really good organization for any family or person struggling with PBC, which is primary biliary cirrhosis. So definitely so many great causes out there, and it feels good to be able to give back.
Wow. It seems like it meant a lot to you, and it's very emotional, very something you're passionate about. So to be able to give back to something like this, what is it about giving back to an organization like that gives you the most joy?
Because for me, it's knowing that giving back, no matter how small or big it is, gets to help another family not have to go through something as bad or things like that. Unfortunately, and I'm sure a lot of people can speak to this. My family was deeply affected by cancer. Unfortunately, my family was also hit with PBC as well. So being able to give back to causes like that really just helps heal that part of me that, sometimes still feels raw or robbed, because we lost these people because of this. And now we get to help a family potentially not lose someone, or at least get more help and resources and education on like how we can make these things better, what kind of treatments are out there, things like that. So that's kind of what really grounds me in those situations.
Yeah, and two, you're paying it forward to people that need it the most when they're struggling, and you've been there, you've witnessed firsthand what has happened, and so knowing what it's like and what internally what your family was going through, you're able to go out there and help other people that are going through similar issues.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. Like, I think in general in the world, there needs to be more people who are able to lead with a kind heart. And, you should want to help someone to prevent them from going through some of the pain that you did. So I think it's definitely, and it just feels good too. Like, I don't think anyone helps anyone was like, oh, this feels horrible. So it just feels good, and everyone wins.
Yeah. Kindness can go a long way. It really does. It always wins.
Absolutely.
Well, Kayla, I want to say thank you so much for coming on to Wrestling with Heart. It means a lot to me and to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find out more about you on social media? And if there's anything you want to plug, feel free.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So on social media, you can probably mostly find me on Instagram at the Kayla Lopez. I am on TikTok with the same handle. And then I also have a YouTube channel where I upload most of my matches there as well. So that's probably where you can find me.
All right. Well, thanks again, Kayla, and you're more than welcome to come back.
Oh, thank you so much. I'd love to come back.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.